Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet.
What's up?
I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine.
And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
All right, a couple life advices to start the new year. Lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. Love the show. All right, here we go. This is more of a work advice question since I know what to do if a girl cheats on me. Okay, glad you have that covered. But I actually do need help advice since I also work in entertainment as a TV producer, and your personality seems to mirror mine. Is wondering if you've ever been in a situation like mine and what you've done or what you would do. I'm a hard worker, pretty talented at what I do, but I also have a problem biting my tongue when I'm clearly right in a situation. As for those thinking working in TV is glamorous, I consistently work 80 hours a week with zero benefits, zero life insurance, sick days, or paid time off, along with zero security for my future if the show gets canceled or a different executive takes over and cleans house. Right now, I'm starting to feel like Jimmy Butler in Minnesota. I know everyone hates what he did, but if you break it down, I understand why he wanted to set the practice facility on fire. He was the best player on the team. The team refused him to give a contract of what he was worth and gave it to the incompetent players like Cat and Wiggins and refused to give Jimmy the max. In the end, Jimmy just wanted to be paid what he was worth, and that's what I'm feeling right now. Yeah, Butler, I understood what he was doing, but it was so orchestrated in how he did it that it was a turnoff to me. Like, you can be right, but it also is part of how you execute you being right. And Butler, and look, we had done this a couple times with Butler already. So I used to always kind of defend Butler, and I don't, I'm not. All right, you know what? This is probably not a Jimmy Butler segment, so why don't I just stop myself? All right, a little backstory for me. I worked at a small production company when I first started out in entertainment, worked my way up from intern to writer-producer from 2009 to 2013. I sacrificed a lot in living situations, relationships, so I could pursue my dream of becoming a TV writer. The company grew from doing random small productions, developing one of the biggest shows on one of the major networks. Ooh, okay. 2014, that show pretty much took over all aspects of the production company I was with. I was left at a crossroads, stay and only work on that one show as a producer and never be a writer, or leave and pursue my dreams of being a writer. Well, I chose to pursue my dreams. Over the next 4 years, I did get some shitty writing jobs, and the show I left turned into the Emmy-winning juggernaut it is now. Ouch. In 2018, after turning 30 and continuing to struggle to sustain writing work, my old friend from the show is now a high-level EP on the show, had an opening and offered a lower-level producer job to come back. All right, so his buddy's the co-EP on the show that he had left, but there was an opening, but it would be a lower-level producer job to come back. So he weighed his options and decided to take it. All right, so he's back on the show. Been on the show for 3 years. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of because I'm doing senior level work and fixing other people's fuck ups because I'm technically lower level, but also was around to create the show and know the ins and outs to make it great. I brought this up to my friends that I came up with who are now supervisors and executives, and they said that they can't do anything because even though they trust me more and think I'm the best producer on the show, there are people ahead of me that have been around longer and they are next in line for promotions, and my friends can't make the decision to promote me over them because of politics, the office, and the network. All right. All understandable. Makes sense. Happens a lot. I've come to the realization that if I just stayed, I could have been a rich homeowner, supervisor, executive instead of the lower level producer. So not only are you annoyed that you think that you're outworking people above you, you left the show and then you come back, and had you stayed the whole time, you'd be rich. Yeah, that's a tough one. My question is, do I stay and continue to fight for the position and salary I deserve since I'm doing work that is that's way above my pay grade, or do I leave this massively successful show again to pursue the credit and the money I am worth? I can't tell if this is eating away at me because of the regret for leaving. Yeah, that's different. It's one thing to just, as we said, it's one thing to just feel like you're not being paid your worth, you're being overlooked, you're working too hard, but you have this different thing because you left this behind. Then he says, yeah, all right, you can't tell if it's just a regret for leaving the first time or if I'm just pissed like Jimmy Butler because I'm not getting what I clearly deserve, and I'm doing the work and fixing the fuck-ups of the incompetent people above me who are winning awards and getting paid way more than me, like Cat and Wiggins. Okay, he says, don't roast me too much. I'm not going to. I get it. I have to take you at your word here that you're this guy that's better than all these other people. So, maybe that's true. Maybe that's who you see in the mirror. And maybe the people around you don't see it that way. I mean, that's happened to me at some workplaces where I'm killing it. And then you go, oh, wait, these people don't really like me all that much. I've been lucky, though, as far as jobs. I don't know that the only time I've ever lost a job was during the Sporting News layoffs that happened in 2005. So for me, I don't even count that one. All right. I was in a similar situation. Okay. So Let me tell that story, and then I'll connect it to this. When I first started with Van Pelt, that was 11 years ago. So I was named as co-host in May of 09. The first show we did, I think, is July in 09. And nobody wanted me to be his co-host except for him. He was the only person. And Amanda, our old producer then, too, was definitely an advocate for me. And everybody else, the decision-making process is like, who's this guy? He's been here 3 years filling in on these shows. You know, he's all right. He's pretty good, but he's just this fill-in. So why the hell would we do this? They wanted it to be like Fowler, but it didn't make any sense. Like they kept picking these huge names that had all these other responsibilities where the argument for me was, hey, Scott has to do Sports Center all the time. So Ryan can at least man the show when Scott's not there. And then when Scott's there, like it just, there's so much more to the story that I don't know. It's kind of a waste of time, but so I get it. And so now that I've gotten it, I know there's immediate, like, whatever, we'll see with this guy and see how long he lasts. So it felt like, at least for me, it was, let's make the situation shitty and hopefully replace him once Scott gets his bearings. That's what it felt like. And that's what it was for a long time. And so after, the thing that had happened is they'd made me sign like a contractor thing where it wasn't a head count, it wasn't benefits, it wasn't full-time status, it wasn't any of those things. And the first couple of years, I didn't deserve it anyway. I was just filling in and driving back and forth from Boston. The third year I was there, I was working a million shifts. So they're like, all right, we got to do something with this guy to at least get it on paper. And I think some of this stuff is just labor stuff that I didn't understand back then. And I signed this 2-year agreement on like, this is what you're going to make at the minimum. And then here's what your bonus structure would be. And first of all, the minimum I was going to make no matter what, because that was one of the negotiation ploys they did with me where they were like, hey, and if you never work, you get to keep all that money. I was like, well, obviously I'm going to work. I've been working nonstop for this third year. So I'm going to work this many days and I'm going to go over this. So that's not like that. It was just a poor job by the guy that was negotiating it with me. He was like, look at that, mister. You get to keep all that extra money. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to use me all these days. So that's non-existent. Doesn't matter. What happened is I did that right before I was named Scott's co-host. So then I was like, well, hey, you know, I'm the co-host of the afternoon drive show at ESPN Radio. Can I have head count? Can I be a full-time employee? And they were like, let's give it a few months and see how the show does. I was like, okay, fine. So it was bullshit that I'm the co-host of the afternoon show at ESPN and I don't even have health benefits. And I waited 3 months. I thought it was pretty apparent to people that understood radio and radio shows that the show had something. It was different. People were going to like it. We were younger, even though Scott and I weren't. I was young then, but you know, you get the point. Like it had a different vibe to it. It wasn't Colin. It wasn't Mike and Mike. It was different, but it played off of the lineup really well. And so after a couple of months, I went to this one boss who, let's just say, liked to keep things so close to the vest you never really knew what he was doing. And I said, hey, you know, look, you said after a few months we could talk about a full-time position. I think the show kicks ass. You know, we have something really cool to build on here. You know, what do you think? And then the head of the department was like, when's the show going to kick ass? I was like, what? And I was like, wait, you don't see? He's like, no, when's the show going to start kicking ass? He's like, I don't think it kicks ass at all. I was like, you don't think that there's a chance that this thing could be like a really big deal? Like you may have hit on something here with this combination? And he was like, you see it that way. I don't. And a lot of other people don't either. Like, okay, cool. So then you leave because you're not going to sit there and argue with the guy anymore. I didn't have that kind of juice back then to do it. You know, there'd be times now where I go, all right, what am I going to do? And so the problem that I made is then I got a little bitchy. I bitched to a couple other managers where I go, I can't believe he would say that to me and that he doesn't understand it. I go, on top of that, like, this is just wrong. Make me a full-time employee. I'm working 5 days a week. I'm the co-host of the afternoon show. And because I complained, it got right back to him. So guess who wrote out a subcontractor deal for 2 years as the co-host of an afternoon show with no benefits? This guy. No 401k, no dental, nothing. Now, I'm not a Disney employee, and I'm the co-host of the afternoon show. For 2 years, that's what I had to deal with because I bitched to somebody else about it. It was petty. It was unfair. It was wrong. It was just it wasn't even about money. Just, hey, make this guy a head count. He's on every day. And I'm filling out timesheets like a dishwasher. Okay? That was wrong. But where I screwed up is I told people how wrong it was. And people gossip, especially, I mean, look, the ESPN gossip is like you could get 3 credits for every semester if you wanted to major in it. And it got back to that guy. So he's like, fuck him. He's complaining. We didn't even want him to be Scott's co-host. And now he's complaining. And you know what? I took it. I took it all, even though it was screwed up, because I knew in the long run I was going to win. All right? So I had to take and this goes to a lot of people, you can't get mad every time you're slighted at work. You can't, because then they're just not going to want you around anymore. So if you believe in yourself, and look, you got to have some people telling you you're pretty good. Like I had enough people that were important in the business that were like, yeah, man, just keep doing your thing. Like you're going to figure this out. So every bump along the way, I go, this sucks and I'm right, but I'm not going to let this get in the way of the fact that I'm going to have my name on an afternoon show at ESPN at some point. Like I'm going to reach my goals. The better play for me is to suck up all these short-term losses, knowing the long-term win is if I ride this out long enough and I keep showing people what I can do, it's going to work out. So that's what I did. Every decision was about long-term, though. This is the better situation for you. I remember when I finally got my name on the show 4 years after I'd gotten it, I was talking with another place. My contract was up and the guy was offering me a good deal. And he said, what else is on the table for you then? And I go, well, I think ESPN's finally going to put my name on the show. He goes, are you serious? He goes, yeah, stay at ESPN. He's like, your name on a show at ESPN, a marquee show, one of the 3 shows. Because it used to be morning, midday, and afternoon. That's where you worked. The money usually is always in the mornings because of advertising. Afternoons, you can kill it. It's all different now. The traditional rules don't really apply anymore. So the reason I bring that up is that, yeah, maybe you are really talented. Maybe you are better than all these people ahead of you. And yes, there's a ton of regret because you made a decision that, went the wrong way. So you have to do 2 things. You have to get over the fact that you bounced from, because that's never coming back. All right. There's nothing that you can do now that is going to change the 4 years you took away from the show. But if you are really good at this and you can succeed, and it sounds like you kind of want to stay to fight through it all. I mean, look, there's nothing stopping you from writing on the side, by the way. And if you're in this industry and you have these kind of connections, if you write something really good and you are this talented, you can do all that shit on the side. I know you're saying you're working a lot. Find a way. Find the time. Find a way to find the time to write something else on the side. And then you can show it to all these other people that are already in the business that most of us can't even get access to. All right. So you've got that part of it. But you're going to have to accept that even if you're right, you can't bitch all the time to everybody about it. Because my guess is you're probably giving off some bad vibes here around the workplace. So even if people, and remember too, like nobody understands your plight the way, no one else is walking around going, yeah, man, that guy left 4 years ago. He's so much more talented than all these other people that are above him. His ideas are awesome. God, he's getting screwed over. Almost no one else is thinking that way. People didn't see me at the cafeteria going, man, Russillo doesn't even have health care. Nobody even knew. Nobody knew. I didn't do some article on it. I didn't tweet, oh, I can't believe this. Oh, I have student loans too. I just didn't. And maybe that's why I think the way I do about the industry is that you get your dick kicked in at the beginning and then you make your way through it. And if you work through it and you're good, you get rewarded later on. Maybe that's the wrong way, but I don't quite understand why the carpet's supposed to be rolled out for you immediately upon entry in some of these tougher things. But you need to lose some of the baggage that you can tell you're carrying around in this email, because I'm not trying to get all zen here, but if you're the pissed off guy all the time and rolling your eyes and sighing when somebody who's your superior is doing something that may be wrong, then it's never going to work out for you. All right. Good luck. This one's actually pretty common. Hey, Ryan, before we get into the story, thanks for everything. Okay. All right, here we go. All right. My question, backstory. One of my best friends has been in a long distance relationship for about a year. They met over social media, but I'm still not quite sure how this happened, as I'm not the slide into the random girls' DMs kind of guy. Shout out to you. He seems really happy with the relationship, which is great. I'm happy for him in that regard. However, since they started dating, they post pictures with one another as one would in a relationship that are always very cringe and have weird captions, emojis that make you feel uncomfortable. It's something that remind you of like 16-year-olds in their first relationship using social media for the first time. As an example, would be just like a story of them having like a weird makeout session with gushy emojis and captions. So they're making out in the IG story with emojis. Yeah, that's not good content. I've had a couple of our friends send me these posts. Yeah. Now, look, I think we all have friends that all of us screen grab, send to the other friends, like, Jesus, dude, or maybe you're that friend. Think about that. Did I blow your mind? Did I just blow your mind on a Monday? I've had a couple of our friends send me the posts, stories. We kind of joke or laugh or discussions of weirdness of the photos. As a side note, she's just out of college and he's in his late 20s. So maybe this is just a phase she is going through. No, this is not a phase. This is who it is not official unless it's all over the place. Okay. Anyway, I think you've got to be like real official before you start posting. And some people are like, look, it didn't happen if we didn't post it. I live in a different city than him, and he's planning on moving out here with her later on in 2021. I kind of want to say something to him because it's pretty painful to see these posted, but I also don't want him to get pissed at me. I do think he's the type of person who wouldn't care about what I say and just brush it off. But I also don't want to say he conveys it to her and then she hates me before I even meet her. All right. It's good. You're thinking ahead here because all of you guys that want to say something to the guy about his wife, he's telling his wife. Okay. He is telling his wife every time. I had a situation a while back where I'd gotten into an argument with the wife, but I was in the mix enough that it was just a topic came up. There was discussion. We argued. And then the husband and I got in the car together to go do something. And I went, man, that was weird. I was like, what the hell was that? And he looked right at me and gave me a look like, because, well, what you have to understand, I was like, oh, yeah. I'm like, I tried to treat this guy's wife like the third buddy in the group. And then we were going to get in the car and be like, what the hell was that about? And he was taking his wife's side. You want to know why? He wasn't taking my side. He's not married to me. So remember that whenever you're criticizing the significant other of one of your buddies, like you can think, hey, I've known this guy a really long time, but you're not sleeping with him. All right. You're not in the same bed every day for what potentially could be years if this works out. So most people are going to tell the significant other. So now it gets back to the content. Yes, her being right out of college is something. He's probably just excited too. So he's going for it. I like that you said he'd probably kind of brush it off and not get super mad. So that makes you think you could do it. Here's, I think, the bigger thing we always have to ask ourselves. Why do any of us fucking care? What if he wants to do horrible cringe emoji stories on Instagram? Like, what is it really doing to you? Is it costing you money? No. Is it costing him a job? I mean, all of us do usually something in the group. The rest of the group is like, and I've done this before, but it's true. Every one of this has something in the group the rest of the group talks about. And we're all making it. We're all still upright. So as much as I love confrontation, and I do, there's a lot of I would say useless confrontation out there, or a scheduled potential confrontation that just doesn't really make any sense. It's a lot like, I've mentioned this with college, where you kind of reinvent yourself. You take the things about you that you like and you amplify them, and then you try to pretend the things you don't like about yourself don't exist. And then eventually you probably revert back to who you originally are. And that's why people like are best friends as freshmen and then junior year, like, oh, remember that guy? Yeah. Didn't we live? Oh, yeah, that's right. You liked him for a little while. Yeah, that guy sucked. Because we're all kind of like conning each other in the beginning. But another thing that we'll do is we'll try to like attach ourselves to something, identify with something, where it's this guy likes this band a lot. Then you'll hear about this other guy that maybe likes them a little bit more. And then you're like, no way, dude. No one likes 311 more than I do. I like them more than that guy does because you're like 311 guy. The same as cowboy hat theory guy, where you're like, okay, Pete's going to wear a cowboy hat all the time at parties. Like, is he a rancher? No, he's from New Jersey. Like, okay, why is he wearing a cowboy hat? I don't know, man. He throws a cowboy hat on. Should we say something? I don't know. Just let him wear a cowboy hat. It's not a big deal. But when you're younger, you're not really processing all these different things. All right. So right now, your buddy it sounds like you like him. You haven't mentioned anything else about him that's weird. So that's great. He's the young girlfriend guy out of that group. And part of that arrangement, if you're going to date a girl right out of college, is you're going to post some bullshit on Instagram. That's going to be super embarrassing. But right now, that's who he is in your group. And is it confrontation? Why don't you just do it in this should be the opposite of the serious way to address it. The serious address it once, and then if it doesn't work out, move on. In this case, next time you see him and it's the group, you're like, what's going on with those IG stories? And let him explain. And if you get the sense from him that he's like, you know what, I really like her, and it's cool, it's what she, then never bring it up again. But if he says, why are they bad? You'd be like, And then maybe he'll laugh. And then maybe he'll, there's what you should do is, if it's really bothering you that much, and this is me just being older at some point where you go, who cares? Like, let him post bad stories. But if you want to confront him on this, let him show his cards first. So you can bring it in a casual way. Yes, a few drinks should be involved. You're like, hey, what the hell's going on with that story the other day? Like, was that a special emoji package that you had to pay for in the app? What was going on with that one? And something with a seesaw, and you guys are making out. And if he laughs, or if he's totally serious, then you'll know your answer and how to navigate it. So there you go. All right, good stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. There was a lot of me. So trust me, we're going to be guest heavy the rest of the week. Please subscribe, spread the word. As always, thank you.